The empathy of self. We were talking about it on the call earlier. We're on a TSL online call about how important empathy is and how rich it can be when you can look past all the superficial stuff that we talk about and get to the core of a human being. And that core sees your core and you guys like each other and you connect. That's a beautiful thing. Yet the thing is that we always forget to overlook is to find that empathy within ourselves. And see, fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, no matter how much status you've got now, how much, societal, rewards you have, any of those things, money, attention, adoration, all this sort of success that we look at. If you're not you, it's going to fail. It's going to be miserable. It will never be good. And the thing is we're so afraid to actually risk ourselves and who we are with the world that we put this mask on. We put this armoring on. We put, these different, basically billboards of what we think other people are going to like, and that's what's going to, what we call life. That's going to be our life. That's going to be our identity. It's a terrible thing. And so there's such this emphatic, I guess, principle that we teach at TSL, which is you've got to be yourself. You've got to. You've got to own it. And that's a difficult thing because we're in a world where we're pushed and pulled at by so many different people, but we've got to be you. And you're going to hurt and you're going to fail and you're going to have problems where you put your real self out there and it isn't liked by people. You're judged and that hurts. And that's the hurt that hurts the most. But if you basically sell out, you change who you really are, you change that inner part of you, and stop broadcasting it and put out what looks good so that you'll get that acceptance of what it's supposed to feel like when you get rewarded for being yourself. You have the worst kind of pain because it's the dull, constant pain that will never change. You'll be absolutely confused why you're never going to be happy. And you're going to think that it's because you don't have this or that. And you get all mired down in bullshit. So here's the thing. Because we are working through this on the call. We were working through this. There's parts of me that hate myself. There's parts of me that I've known I've done something wrong. There's parts of me that don't think that think I'm great, that totally reward myself. And this is true for me personally. And I've done the identity workbook multiple times. I wrote it, but I've done it, every time I've done the course. So let's say I've done it 15, 20 times, right? It's crazy. I'll put a link towards it in the podcast description. And you should do it. You should do it. You should do the old version, the 2009 to 2015 version. The way we do it now is it's divided up throughout the course. Because what happens in this with TSL Online, you don't have to be into social dynamics. You don't have to be into like how to talk to people, how to get rapport, how to have better sex, or whatever those different things that people take TSL for. You should just do it to do it. But what we do is we examine ourselves richly and then we turn every single one of those things into a social dynamic on the many different dynamics: how to meet people, how to connect, how to build rapport, how to share a part of ourselves, how to build a relationship, how to make friends, how to build social circles, all on every single good and bad thing in there. So it's really interesting and it's so empowering. But here's the thing, the empathy of self. You have parts of yourself that are divided. There are parts of me where I think, oh my God, man, I can't believe I did that. There's a part of me where it's like, Jesus, that's just like, that's tragic. That's terrible. That's what a horrible person does. That's what a monster does or something along those lines. I kind of tuck it away and I think, man, that was just a time or a moment. Or I try and hide it with these other things. And see, the beauty about empathy, what gives you your worth talking to somebody else, is when you are completely you and they're completely them, and you build a connection based on that, and that feels good. But within myself, I need to have that same empathy. And this is the beauty. This is one of the greatest things that happened for me in my journey of this, and continues to happen, but I remember pivotally in either 2009 or 10, where I was talking with somebody, we were talking about all the different relationships that I'd had that was fucked up. The drug relationships that I had that were fucked up, the bringing kids into the world and having that be fucked up. And it wasn't just that guilt aspect. It wasn't, oh man, I'm a bad person. But it was like, man, I did this and I can't believe I did this. Or I keep doing this and it keeps ending up wrong and I'll never get it right. And I truly am a fundamentally flawed human being. And it's proven because I've had every choice and every option and all these things not to be. But I've taken all those great situations, those pots of gold that life has given me, and I've turned them into tragedy. And I remember my friend Dave telling me, he said, well, what if you are that person? Now, wait a minute, what if you are the person? I haven't lived your life. I don't know the situations. I don't get the sex addiction part. I get the drug addiction part. I get, this and that. But what if you're that guy? What if just for the rest of your life, all the things that you say, I mean, you just told me that you've taken the gold and turned it into a tragedy. But what if every single person in your life you actually did infect? And that was true. And what if you got every good situation and all the specifics that you just listed out? Falling in love, have somebody giving you their whole life, having the financial freedom you wanted, having, all the different choice and all that stuff. And what if you just always got it wrong? And what if you just started acting like that? And acting like that because right now you're acting like a guy that wants to hide from that and you're running from it. And that's become the expression of you. And in that, there's a repression. And he's like, I'll tell you something, because I don't know the specifics of all the different things that you've done. But when I did that with my life, it got kind of weird for a little bit. When I was the person where it was like, man, okay, well, if I'm going to build a relationship with you, it could go wrong and it could go in these bad ways. And I'm a manipulative person. I'm an asshole. I'm this disaster of a human being. I've done it all wrong because that's what I believe. There's a part of me that believes that, and a whole nother part of me that doesn't. And yeah, you ruffle some feathers in life. Things get kind of weird. But the interesting thing is he's like, when I did that, then it allowed it to express and change, and you could actually then be yourself. And I'll tell you this because it's 2017 now, a very different life than I had then. And it doesn't mean I don't have problems, and it doesn't mean that I can't have more problems in the future. And it doesn't mean that I still don't live by this principle, because a great life is something that you have to do every day. Just like feed your body, you have to eat the right food, you have to breathe, you have to use it. But the same thing with your emotions, your lifestyle, who you are, your merit, your core, your beliefs. You have to always activate them daily, and they could always change. That's not a threat, but that's how life works. That's how the real valuable things of our life works. And the thing is that in allowing myself to accept that part of myself, to have the empathy within, that the good side of me, the normal side of me, the side that I just broadcasted out publicly, and the side that deep down in a part of me, that little part, felt that I was fundamentally flawed as a human being, all started to go, oh, hey, wow, why don't you just be you? And it changed. See, the thing is I still may like a lot of things that are bad by society or taboo, or might even activate a bad side of myself. And I could still do a bad thing. Let's say I steal something, or let's say somebody gives me too much money and I take it. And I make that choice to do it. Or let's say I get my toes stepped on and I overreact. Let's say I get resentful and want revenge. Let's say all these different things that aren't supposed to be good with us. Let's say I want to cheat. Let's say I want to lie. Let's say I want to do something that is better for myself at the expense blatantly of other people. That's supposed to be a bad thing for a good person or somebody spiritual or whatever. But if I do one of those things, I don't hide it from myself. And I learn to look at it and I learn to understand it, because at some point I'm going to have to. That doesn't mean that I don't judge myself. I don't censure myself. I don't try and change it. And it doesn't mean I don't accept a responsibility. What it means is at some point I'm going to have to look at that and understand why I did that and how that fits into the overall mix of me. And it's not just black or white, right or wrong, but it was a part of a voice that I wasn't allowing. And man, what a beautiful gift to have for yourself. And what a message we don't hear or talk about, or in men's groups and empowerment and in excellence, that people even acknowledge that this exists. Because the interesting thing is I love excellence. I love working with guys that move into that part of self. But if we only look at that, then that's a mask for the guilt and the shame and the beliefs that you're all running from. Learn to be honest, learn to be you, explore who you are, connect that to the world, and that is your greatest value and your greatest self can only have that stuff included with it, or else you are living that lie that will turn everything. Man, I smile while saying this because I've lived through it, but everything that's great in your life into some sort of tragedy somewhere within you. That's a shitty way to live.